Good evening, it's Caleb Jones checking back in with you. My last video, I told you we're going to work on our plan for 2026. I said that when you go into 2026, you have to have an idea about how you want to go into 2026, or your viewpoint about how you want 2026 to look. So before you can set your goals for 2025, you have to have an idea about how you want to look going into 2026. I personally said my 2026 viewpoint was I was going into 2026 with more of a man of distinction in my look and how I carry myself. And only some will catch on to what I mean by man of distinction. Number two, I wanted to make sure that my novel was published and ready to go. And I wanted to make sure that I had an idea about how an addition to my house will look as far as a new room. The last thing I said was I would make sure that to achieve my goals for 2026, I want to make sure that I have trust. I put all my faith in God as far as my path. The only other thing I wanted to make sure going into 2026 I had established was I wanted to have my saxophone skills up to par. So what I did was I established my view going into 2026. How I want myself to be viewed going into 2026. So once you establish how you want to go into a year from now, you establish a plan about how to get there. So my plan how to get to more man of distinction was going to be learning more professional outlooks as far as how I approach different things. My plan for how to do my novel will be, of course, setting up a schedule for how I would actually look into writing my book, how my times for how I would look at writing my book, who I would look at editing, who I would look at as far as advertising for my book for 2026. So that's why I started to establish my plan for my view for 2026. So during the time of 2025, these are some of my plans going forward. And you'll start to see a different person as the year goes on. So, my man of distinction, how I look and carry myself, my novel, as far as the steps I go through to publish it, my saxophone skills, as far as taking additional lessons to get more in tune with how I play, my skills, and starting to work on what it takes to add on to my home. So I have the view for how I'm going to look in 2026. I'm establishing a plan for 2025. And as we talk more throughout the year, another week, you'll start to see, or I will be able to talk about what is your plans for making these things happen. Remember the old saying, you aim for the moon and hit the stars. Or aim for the stars and hit the moon, however it goes. We're going to start to talk about how we're going to establish our aims and our goals. Caleb Jones out. See you in a few days.